Okay. Hey, Lester.
What's going on, Bardia? Good to see you.
You as well. Okay.
So from the graph overview, I'm sorry, where did you say you found the experimental graph section?
There should be a button in the hosted graphs in the header saying create experimental graphs. It should be.
Oh, okay.
I've got it. It just finished loading. It's just showing a blank Chrome instance.
All right, cool. Yeah. Pretty much the experimental graphs are exactly the same. The only difference is that import doesn't work on the experimental graphs right now, and it's buggy as hell. So if you guys run into any bugs, please report them. So I'll be sending an email to all of you guys later, which will contain some details on how to join the private Slack channel where you can give feedback directly to me, Philippe, and Josh, but mostly Philippe and Josh. And they can also provision you keys for using the REST API because this API right now that we're going to be going through only is available inside Rome.js blocks. This isn't going to be the final API. I will send the docs right now for what we have. Until we figure out some way of doing subscriptions and or events. Because right now, the main things you can do with the API are read and write. There's no polling or subscription, so you won't be able to check for changes. However, there are a bunch of Rome.js snippets out there, and a bunch of them do mutation observers pretty well. It's pretty hacky, but it works well enough. And combined with the ability now, you can create, update, and delete blocks. It'll be a lot easier to create extensions on top of Rome, whereas previously, well, right now, currently, anyone in production has to use simulating the UI, basically. So I sent you guys the API docs in the chat, and there is a bit missing from them. We don't right now have the entities schema for blocks, nodes in the graph. And there still isn't batch updating, which is a big thing that we know a bunch of users have asked for already. So that's definitely on the horizon, because right now, every time you have to create a block, you have to make one round trip per block. Another thing that is a bit different is that you guys will be having pretty much bare access to Datomic database. You guys will have the same querying capabilities that were in the Alpha API in the window. If you didn't know, we've had for quite a while now, actually, a similar API just available in the window. So it'll just be querying your local database in your browser. So this one works a bit differently, and this one actually queries the backend. It'll query Datomic, and it doesn't have any relation in terms of, it doesn't go to the front end first and check there, and then go to the backend. It only goes to the backend. Okay, so those are some of kind of the boring details. I'm going to share my screen in a bit, and we can go through some examples, and I can answer any questions as well. Just one sec.
I have a brief question just to clarify. So this is what the experimental graph gives access to immediately is the Alpha API, and the REST API is what we would have to get the the private keys and everything set up to the Slack channel. Is that right?
Either you can email or ping. It's probably faster if you just ping Philippe or Josh or even me, because then I'll ping them.
Okay.
So if you guys want access to those, just provide the graph name, so the experimental graph name, along with the email that you're using for Rome.
Awesome.
So one of the main things about the Rome graph, again, that was the Rome API that's a bit different, is that because of our choice of Datomic, the querying language that we're using is Datalog. And while it's not necessary to learn data log to do this to use the Roam API, because a bunch of people have made wrappers around common functions. I will also be providing those in the chat later on. And the whole idea is that we're giving you guys as much access as possible to the raw graph so you guys can do cool shit. Everyone seems to be liking that feature a lot. It might be something we might have to modify for production, because we don't know how dangerous it is to keep it up like that. Anyways, let's go through an example here, and let me just start sharing the screen. Are you guys seeing the blank Roam screen?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. All right. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is, I don't know, how much experience do you guys have with building with Roam.js in general?
Not a lot.
I've played with it.
None.
I'll say that I found the Roam 42 and some of the community plugins are like a really good primer to go through to see kind of what can be done. Roam 42 in particular is doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I would highly recommend.
General statement.
Actually post. I was looking at his stuff, and we can use his stuff to build something.
The biggest thing I've found useful when creating Roam.js plugins is to use mutation observers to find when like an element is added to the DOM, so that I can get like any element with a certain selector.
All right, so I just sent in the chat the Roam 42 code base. If you go to common and then go to common datalog.js, there's quite a few good wrapper functions. Which I can show on the screen here. You can get a random block from a page, get blocks referring to this page, get block info by UID. Also, let me grab another link for you guys as well for some good. And there's also one in Python as well, but I will have to find the link. Just give me a second. Another big thing about, I guess I can't find it. Another big thing about the REST API is that you can also use Eden, which is the native Clojure data format, and it is more efficient than JSON. And just be careful when you're doing the REST API, because you have to be very careful with making sure that when you are doing the JSON versus the Eden file type, you make sure that you're formatting it properly, because a bunch of people have had issues with not being able to format the REST API calls properly.
Does it still give JSON in response? Is Eden just for the queries?
Yeah, Eden is just for the queries. You'll get a JSON response.
Cool.
And we don't have it documented, the return shapes, unfortunately, because we're doing queries of, there's so many different like possible queries that you can't really document all of them.
Yeah.
But we could do some examples as well. Okay, so first thing is making the code block. And what should we do? We should you call it just by doing this. And this is actually attached to the window. So any variables you define within Roam.js get binded to the window. And if you accidentally mess up, like Aslan did once, and you can disable Roam.js because it can crash if you use like a reserved variable. And if you just do disable JS equals true at the end of your link, that will save you. Okay, so Roam Datomic Alpha API, you have to specify an action. In this case, let's do something simple and just create a block. And then you have to also specify the location. And the location here is going to be, we want to put it in December 3rd, 2020. Let's open it up. You can just get the page UID like this also, but then if you want to do it programmatically, you'd have to make a query for the day by the date, because sometimes if you accidentally create a page, a daily notes page from the command U search bar, it won't come up with the same format. So as you see here, this page UID is like standardized, but if I'm making December 4th from here, even though it will come up with, oh, and actually, maybe we fixed that bug. That's nice. Or maybe if I do it from here, fix that bug, that's great. I did not know about that. Okay, great. I think we fixed the bug. Okay, so, but you still will have in your database, this still holds because you will have old pages that won't have been created all in the same way. So anyway, so if you wanted to actually do this properly and have it done every day, you'd have to create a parser to get the date or create a query. Roam 42 has some parser in his code that allows to get the Roam date, the Roam page, just by to get the title at least by the the date, even if it's not formatted. Anyways, okay, so the location here is going to be 12/03/2020, and then you also have to specify like the order. So in this case, or actually the location has to be in. And the order, location here. The order is just the order of the block. So if we wanted to be on the first block, we would do 0. If we wanted to be on the 6th block, we would do 6 or 5, sorry. And let's just do 2. Actually, just that, and then finally, you need to specify information about the block. You can provide your own UIDs. It's optional, so we can just make it on our end. But some people put like emojis in the UIDs and stuff. It's been kind of cool.
You could put emojis in the UUID?
Yeah, well, the thing is, if you supply your own one, you can do it.
You don't have to demonstrate. I trust you. It's just funny to me.
And then let me just call it. Yeah, this function. Did I do this correctly? I don't think so. So let's test this out. This the syntax? Yeah, this is the syntax. And then let's see if this works. Ooh, interesting.
That'll return a promise. So the return await is actually redundant. You can
just return?
it's just return. You would just return the function itself. If it needs to be async, then you would have to call await where you call it. If that makes sense.
Sorry.
I should just shut up. I feel like a pair programming alone is shitty in my opinion. In a group, it's getting backseat drivers is probably not ideal. So I'll just be quiet.
No, definitely help me out. Like I'm not like I haven't written JavaScript in a long time.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Unfortunately, the async await syntax only works in an async function. So you might have to do like on line 14, you might have to do test write, then a dot then at the end of it. Like, yeah.
Let's see. And then,
Parent UUID also only has one U.
oh, that's probably why I was getting an error. Okay. I can't do error or catch. Okay.
Yeah, that catch. Oh, you'll have to console log E. Or just console log. You don't have to.
Okay. I think I did something wrong with the location. Let's see. No, the parent UID is only supposed to have one U.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do wrong here?
You could try alerting instead of console logging because unless your console's open off the screen. Or like a dot then. Yeah. And you'll have to do a pass a callback there too. Oh, there we go.
It already worked. Okay, there we go. There. Sweet. Okay, so if I just do this, it's just yeah, cool.
Cool.
Okay, so now we got the writing to work. So let's try and combine this with some queries. I haven't been checking the chat. Have you guys been writing in it?
I don't think anything's new. No, nothing. It was crowdsourced help.
Yeah. Okay, what should we make? Let's try to grab a random quote from this page. So the first thing we'll want to do is we're going to go to Rome 42's stuff because I am not very well versed with data log. I know a little bit. I will try to tell you guys what I do know because, yeah, I'm no expert. So the first thing we want to get is we need to get this page, or we actually just want to get things that mention quote. So we need to get the page UID of quote. So let's get cons get page by title. Here, grab this query. So this query here, what it's doing is it's trying to find the UID where the node title, this binds, E binds to the node. So the easiest way to like think of the way that data log works queries is that the find is you put in the variable that you want to return. These are actually just like, and you can use anything. You can do ent, whatever it is you want to do, like node, or even like block. That doesn't matter. These are just kind of variable names you just make on the fly. This will bind to the node, and then title will bind to here. But in this case, the Rome.js or the Rome 42 data log stuff is using the window alpha, a Rome alpha API, not the Datomic one. So the rules are a little bit different. And instead of doing this, you would actually use an input. So you want to have an input instead and bind that to title. So what you normally do is you put an in clause here. And the first thing you do, this refers to the database, is just shorthand. And then in there, you want to also get this title, and the title, when we make this call, let me just copy and paste this here quickly. Action now is Q. And then I'm going to change this to query.
So that's up top is the data log query, right?
Yeah.
And you just write it straight in a Rome.js block, or are you just giving like a demo?
What you would do is you would put it within this query.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. Query, and then the last thing, inputs, and then
Do you have to URI encode that, or do you just pass it as a string?
no, you just pass it as a string, but you have to use limiters at the end.
Okay.
So here we want to bind to title, and that's our query. Let's put it in. over here. So now that we have our inputs, and what we can do here is okay, so now that we have this, let's test it out. Get page. Oh, forgot to pass an argument.
What were you just doing? Did you hit stop? Are you doing that to like rerun?
Yeah, that just reruns it every time. I'm just wondering where this problem is.
Unexpected token bracket.
Yeah,
Oh,
I realize what happened here.
yeah, that actually might work. There you go.
Let's see what happens. Oh, I need to console alert it. Undefined, so we did something wrong here. Let's check the consoles. You guys have any clue?
I think you need to return the API result, don't you? It was fine on write because you didn't
Right.
need the result.
There we go. So we got the API. Check to see if that's correct. Yeah. So now we have one function, and then now we need to get all the blocks that come from, or all the blocks that ref this. So I think 142 also has something for this. So pull is another action that you can do inside queries, or you can do them alone. And pulls, you basically define the structure, like the hierarchy of the data that you want to pull, and whereas the query will just return you, the query just returns whatever this variable is bound to at the end of the query. Pull is defining the structure, and you can use it within queries so that you can get more than just the UID, for example. In this case, we're trying to find, let me just pull this out quickly. In this case, we're trying to find, so again, the string interpolation, we'll fix that in a second. So the find here is going to be grabbing all the refs and getting their block strings, block UIDs, and then the children, and then the dot, dot, dot. I actually forget what it means. I think it means kind of, I think it's like recursive. And if you do, if you put just the star instead of this, then you get everything. In this case, this is what we're caring about. So in this case, what's happening is refs is getting bound to the title. So that every block has refs, list of pages that it's referencing. And so this is binding to any of those blocks that include the title. And the title is being bound to the input title that we put in. So yeah, that's how it's working. And the input title, we'll do it the same way we did before, just putting it in here. This. Then we wrap it in the function, get block, page. In this case, pass in the page UID, or I guess you could also, if you have the page title, you don't even need to get the UID. You could just put in the title, right? That'd be fun.
Hey.
In that case, we don't even need to do this, but you can get blocks. Now we can just get blocks by the title. We didn't even need to do this first. One second. Get blocks per page. And in this case, we're going to do all right. Now that we have this, you can form it properly. So again, this time it's the same action, it's still a query, even though we're doing a pull inside. And then the query itself is this.
Kind of curious if you could just use backticks. If you do backticks, you don't have to pass the line delimiter, but I'm not sure if it would work in the browser.
if I recall correctly, when I was first playing around with the API, that was having issues with using the backticks.
That makes sense. Heck my hell.
But it works if you're I think it works if you're doing the call to the window. I think it's just the Datomic Alpha API. That's the issue. I don't think you can use the single quote.
Makes sense.
Okay, so let's see if this works. Yeah, blocks.
Input dash title might need to be. So it's going to pass, it's looking for a JavaScript variable input title on line 12.
It's supposed to be in.
That'll probably, there we go.
Weird.
You might need a comma at the end of line 11.
Oh, yeah. Good catch. Okay, so we got all 5 of these, it seems like. And now let's combine these and do a write a random block. So this can be pretty useful if you want to just do random block creation as part of your daily writing practice, like daily templates. Like one thing I love doing is like, actually, this is like very useful for me because I often import stuff from Readwise, and then I will just go and take randomly myself, go and manually grab 3 quotes and then start riffing on them. But with something like this that we're building, I can just call this, and then every day I'll have like a list of 3 like random quotes, and I don't have to do anything. Okay, so let me just function. What should we call this one? Right. Quote. Right, random quote. In this case, we want to take this function and just change it a bit. I'm going to create a block here, and we're going to just do it 0, delete these. And the string will just be, let's grab event alert response, but in this case we just want to quote. What we want to do is get quote random quote. How do we do random quote? Oops. Is this the right syntax?
It's JavaScript is annoying here. I can paste a snippet in chat.
Okay, yeah. Did you paste it?
Oh, I'm writing it right now.
I think this will work.
Where did my chat go?
I think this works, right?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, let random quote equal that, but we need to get the UID because we want to ref it. And then the string should just be random. Let's see if this works. It didn't work. Let's see what happens. Uncut block string. So our errors are also not great, but they just give us the color text string and block string. Very hard to parse. Let's see what happened here. So I have to grab
It's block/UID. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't work, but let's try. Oh, let's see. Undefined. Oh, you have to get the 0th. It gives you an array that each query like resolves to an array of arrays. So you always have to grab the first element. All right, this should work now. No, it didn't work. What? Oh, we got it. Why didn't it make the block? Oh, maybe I have to do string interpolation here. I think maybe, oh, because I changed. Let's, Maybe it's because you can't do it. You have to make this a string first. Because I think this might just be an integer, so I have to go to string. Oh, there we go. Sweet.
Nice.
All right, now we have to just put them in double bracket, double parentheses.
Bardia, I don't know if you noticed, but actually that copied before you ran it, and then it copied it again on the second. I don't know if maybe it's a lag on my side or if you didn't notice.
Oh, I did not notice. It did it again. Okay, so then it worked the first time, it seems like. All right. Let's try it one more time. Let's delete these. Let's see if it works. I must have done this wrong. How do you add string? You can't do pluses in JavaScript. Is that only in Python?
You can, that would just be like string interpolation, basically. So just adds, that should be right.
Weird. It's just working. Oh, there we go. We got this stuff. So there we go. We got the first thing to work, but we got a couple bugs in here. I'm gonna have to bring this up with the rest of the team. So how are you guys planning on using the API? I don't know, in this hackathon or in general. Like, how do you guys see yourselves using it?
I was actually trying to, the thing that I wanted to do was with the REST API, because I have an idea for a Chrome plugin. But I kind of want to play with this too, because it looks fun.
Yeah, I think that it's really useful to have both. And the REST API, like hopefully you guys can get access to it very soon, like if not tonight, tomorrow. And we hope to have very soon after we launch this API, if not at the main launch, to actually have polling and subscriptions, so you don't have to do hacky shit to watch for changes. Because what would be really nice is if every time you added a quote or something to this list, that you don't have to like rerun this all. Right now, you have to keep doing this over and over again. We are also working on adding a new CLJS interpreter, and that will allow you guys to make custom components in Hiccup. And basically you can make custom React components like reagent, which is Clojure's wrapper over React. And you'll be able to make functions using this API, and then the CLJS stuff will be native in Rome before the API is. So you'll be able to actually create these functions and do a bunch of cool stuff without having to actually hit the back end. But in combination with the Datomic API, once that's launched, you'll be able to do a ton of stuff. And then especially once you're able to also poll, then like the possibilities are basically endless. We just want to make Rome as extensible as possible and allow for you guys to make cool tools for thought. So what are you guys building for your projects for this hackathon?
Well, I was kind of waiting on seeing what I'd be able to do. And if I can get REST API access, I have an idea of trying to build a Chrome plugin. I've been kind of building an interface that I want to interact with Rome eventually in anticipation of the API in my free time. Originally, I was using a different data layer, but Rome is better suited because it already works. But I want to build like a Chrome plugin that will let you take notes anywhere on a web page, and that it'll back populate your Roam database. And they're bidirectional. So if you click a link in the Roam database, it'll open up the web page with the Chrome plugin with your notes in it. I'm not sure if I can do it yet, but that's kind of the idea.
That'd be cool. Yeah, as in like, yeah, that's what I was basically saying. There's some like wrapper library, but because we don't have Slack history like that long, whoever posted it in the Roam Slack, I can't go back and find it now, unfortunately. You can go once I send the email out. You guys can also just ping me on Slack now. If you're on the Slack, and I will add you to the channel, and then you can just ask in there for all of this stuff, because yeah, Malcolm Ocean has a JS one. Let me see if I can find his. The Roam 42 stuff also is like, it's for the browser one, like for the window. It's not for the Datomic one, so you do have to make some changes. But Malcolm Ocean has one, I'm pretty sure, that is for the like actual Datomic API. 1 second. Well, I think it was maybe in gist. If not, I will just put it in the Slack channel, or just ask I'll just ask Malcolm to post it in the Slack channel, and we'll pin it. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have any questions, or if you guys want to like work on something together. Maybe, I don't know how long you guys have portioned out for this. Like,
I have one quick question. When you run a query like this, would it only be able to pull blocks that are directly within that page, or would it be able to pull blocks that are linked?
so this one's actually this one's looking for reft ones. It's looking for ones that are like appear. So this one, for example, like if this was here, it would still pull from it because it has quote in it. So like the refs here, like refs contains an array of all the titles of the nodes that are being refed in here. So it would be an array of status, Keith, Johnstone, and quote. So this specific query is grabbing the refs, and you can have another query that grabs just all the like children of a page. And then that one, you could also potentially filter those again on ones where they only have certain quotes or certain tags associated with them. So you basically like recreate this like the filter functionality through queries, and run basically advanced queries without ever having to like use like the query UI. Yeah, that's pretty useful.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so I had part of like why I came to this is I just wanted to understand a little better like what's possible, but like I'm definitely planning now that I see this to like learn some JavaScript, some more JavaScript for this. But like a few things that I've been playing around with in my head are just make it so things that like nodes that fit a certain query end up getting sent to Slack, right? Like that sort of thing would be really great. Or alternative automated EDN backup with like GitHub and some UI over that to just sort of be like a version history, you know, or maybe like like a connection, make an iPhone keyboard so that way I can do like double brackets and double parentheses to find nodes in Roam, and so that way I can like annotate things with all of the connections that I want to be able to make. You know, those are all a little bit above my skill level at this point, but also happy to work with anyone on it.
That kind of stuff I think won't be, well, okay, let's go through them like one by one. So the query thing, once you can do polling, that will be quite like simple, because you would just basically like poll you could even do it now, but it's just like it won't be as like clean of a solution. And you would just basically pull the block which has the query, and then you would actually, I don't know if it's you have to do it kind of through a hacky way, because there isn't right now a way to just directly hook into queries. You'd have to like parse through, I think. Actually, no, it wouldn't even be possible because it's all in the UI. Because the actual block string, like the block won't, it'll just say the query. It'll show like that thing. So you'd have to do your own query basically.
Could it be, I mean, could it be something like, I don't know, have you seen the Roam privacy mode engine that I worked on? So with that, what we did is we had just like a page with a list of pages on it. You know, I could also see that as being like a list of Boolean rules or something. And could that be abstracted in some way? So that way I can do like a data log query and it'll just plug in the right terms. So that way it essentially functions.
Yeah, you can make it essentially function as a query. It's just like to hook into actual queries inside. Right. That's like, it's not part of the API to do that. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, so we're planning on like adding some more types of like metadata and stuff to make it easier for you guys to hook in, for example, to like if you have a slider, right now, like there's no way to like actually get the slider value out of it using the API. You would have to do something with the UI. So like there's a bunch of different solutions to think of, like adding metadata, so then the metadata wouldn't necessarily be on the back end, but then you could hook into it on the front end much more easily than like have some weird stuff to grab it. And then it'll also allow you to do more custom like components, where like the stuff that you define within the component, the custom component, will also be able to be hooked into.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just I think then maybe even if someone could build just like a simple Roam query to Datomic query function, you know, I think that could enable a lot, just because like I think that would let just normal Roam users, because normal Roam users can figure out queries, you know, let them set some of these sorts of rules.
Is the syntax of Roam queries, you know, that is that structured according to the Datomic or the data log query syntax? I'm just curious if they map one-to-one, because I think they'd have to for what you just.
They don't map one-to-one.
Oh.
No.
So that might be hard what you just described, Rob.
Okay.
Honestly, it makes more sense to have data log is so much more powerful than our own query language, and it's it's not too hard to learn. It's to do more advanced stuff with it, it can be like a little bit intense, but like the whole idea is basically just like you're basically just continually sorry, I have like compulsion with this stuff. Basically the whole idea is that you're just trying to find matching the match for a certain pattern, basically. And then in these where clauses is where you bind things, and then you're just returning them. It's very different than like SQL. Learn data log today. It's also in the docs, but I'm just gonna pop it in the chat as well. This is like how I learned data log, and it's probably the most like simple one, and it provides good practice examples, so you can just practice very easily for each chapter.
Rob, kind of your idea, you wouldn't be able to do one-to-one from normal Roam queries, but like Bardia said, the data log is actually a lot more powerful, and so you would be able to potentially build like a UI query tool that structured, like created a data log query, and that could be really cool, because it could be more powerful than Roam queries even.
Way more powerful, and you could make a way better just domain-specific language for it. Like you could just define one that's like super simple, like, and just have it be like very easy to use, or you could have one that's like really that's like kind of what we're hoping for, is that like people will basically make their own languages, kind of when like we have this very open API, and then they'll have like basically every language that makes their own wrapper libraries will basically be creating kind of like their own domain specific language for doing Roam. And then those queries or those things can end up being exposed to the end user, and then they can just like remix it too. So yeah, pretty exciting. Anyone else planning on building anything with the API?
I had a question. I was wondering if it would be possible with like the Roam.js side to do like a kind of like blast from the past style thing that some journal apps do. So I use Roam for a journal. Before that, I used Day One, and one of the features it has, it'll say like this time last week or last month or last year or whatever, and just give you kind of a preview of what you had written before. Which I think would be a cool thing to have in Roam if it could like kind of block reference in something from an interval.
Yeah, 100%. You can definitely do that with the Roam.
Okay. Yeah, how would that work though? Because I guess you would be creating nodes on the current dates node. Like, how do you get that to execute? Maybe I'm not understanding exactly how Roam.js works. But how do you get that to execute for every daily note? Like when I start the day,
you would want to import a script, like,
okay.
And that script would, I guess you'd have to get like some job running like in the background.
Okay, and that would be on the Roam.js side, like some interval. Or...
No, you wouldn't write that stuff inside Roam.js.
Okay. So that would have to use the REST API.
Yeah, you'd have to use the REST. I guess you're right. You wouldn't be able to do it within Roam.js.
You might actually, if you like, you see how you're like, I guess you can't see my screen, but you're querying by the parent UID being the date. Yeah. If you just wrote a function that took the current date and converted that to whatever the time interval was, like a week ago, in the syntax that it's expecting for the parent UID, then that would let you query like, you know, the daily notes from a week ago, and then you could just take the result and feed that into daily notes for today. Did that make sense?
Yeah, I think that would work. It's just, when does this JS block get executed? Is it like
you could? So that's the thing. If you hack together a thing where you're watching for mutations, so like you could have it running on anything basically. You just have to be watching for something to happen, and then you could run it.
Okay, so maybe you'd set up a cache, like, has this day's notes been pulled in yet? If it has, if it hasn't, then any mutation would trigger that to happen. Exactly. I think that would work. Yeah, okay.
We have something in our, I can also share a thing we have in our company Roam that we use to do Slack notifications, and it's kind of buggy, but just give me one sec. And that'll give you an idea of like how to do some of this stuff. Okay. One sec. I need to get rid of the emails and stuff.
Hey Bardia, are there samples of like what these functions that you wrote like in the API docs?
They're not exactly these ones, but there is, like, this one is pretty much, yeah, like there is for the most basic examples. Like you can get page, you can get all pages, you can get like all titles, you can get all blocks and in their children from a page, you can get all pages and their children. Like you can get like a bunch of stuff. Like there's a lot of examples in the docs for queries specifically, and then also for like some actions as well. You can also move blocks around. We didn't show that, but like you could, for example, take this block and move it some like underneath this one if you wanted. Yeah, what was I going to show you? Oh yeah, this Roam.js. One sec. I'm going to share this with you guys as well, so you guys can just like have access to this. Put this in here too. So basically, this block, this function here, watch block for new tags, it basically is checking if you added a tag to something and the tags, you would list them here, mapped to an email, and then you put the token for the Slack and the channel, and then basically anytime you like edit, basically it's watching for changes, and then if you end up leaving the block, then it ends up grabbing the block, checking if it's a new tag or if it was there before, because if you don't check if it was there before, then you'll end up fucking up and sending a million notifications anytime you try to edit a block that you've already had tagged with the thing that you want to be notifying with. And then, yeah, it basically grabs the user ID from Slack and then posts a notification. We have like a better version of it, kind of, but it was hella buggy. This one's actually not buggy. The one that I posted here, like V1, V2, V2 is a bit buggy.
How did you access this page again? What was this from?
This is from our own internal.
Oh.
This isn't published anywhere.
You said you're going to post the link for this one in the chat, right? For us to, or no?
Sorry?
You said you were going to post this page, like this demo, publicly.
Yeah. One second. Yeah. All the code snippets are under the usage page in the Roam Alpha API. Yeah. So this is like a good example of using Slack or using Roam integration. Roam.js also, if you want to see like TypeScript examples, I will direct you to there. Just put it in the chat. David Vargas has some great extensions, and they're all written in TypeScript. Still trying to find this. Yeah, I'll try and find you guys some more like util libraries, and I'll send you guys an email later just with more instructions and how to join the Slack channel. And if you guys, I'm gonna send out a Calendly link by the end of the week. And if you guys want, after you guys have played with the API for a bit, I'd love to just like speak with you guys like one-on-one and find out what you guys are building and like what things you want, what things you're having troubles with, what things you don't like, what things you find really useful, and basically just get some feedback. Like that's all we ask is some feedback, please, so we can improve this. So when we do launch to the public, that it's really good. Okay. Any more questions?
This stuff is going to be launching to the public.
Pardon?
When do you think this Datomic stuff is going to be launching to the public?
I don't want to be on camera answering that question. I don't know. Like I would say a couple months probably at like the earliest. Like it's not coming tomorrow. Yeah, like I personally am of the mindset of getting the polling stuff and the subscriptions, because I think that's where like the real power will be in, and having like live communication between Roam and other services. So yeah, I'm hoping we can get that out and launch as soon as possible.
Did you guys already talk about how you're thinking about like Roam Depot and what the governing layer will be for managing all these different, community built add-ons and so on? Because I think, we're surviving right now on Chrome extensions and I think Roam.js snippets that make their way into people's graphs, right? But I'm guessing at some point people are going to want to move to subscription models for premium features. Is that something you guys are thinking about in parallel so that when it releases, folks can actually kick up a business model?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it will work in terms of like, will it come before the Roam API? Will it come at the same time as the API? Will it come out after the API? I think they are related, and I'm not sure the timeline, which one comes first. We are definitely thinking about it. Like the main idea that we have, and like I spoke to Aslan about this before, but basically just having a page like called like Roam Depot in your graph, and then you could basically like we'll have a bunch of vetted extensions from people like we can trust, and like we don't know exactly how we're going to do code review and process, or if we're going to like force the people who want to, well, I guess not force, but like have them make their code open source, so everyone can like that might be the way to like prevent like malicious code, would be open source. Another way would be manual review, but again, like we don't know, depends on how many people, like there are going to be tons of people like trying to get extensions into Roam Depot, right? So reviewing all that takes a lot of time and effort, and we have to find a way to like make it efficient so we can get trusted stuff out there. Or yeah, we don't like, it's definitely on our minds, like how we're going to set this up, but basically you just have, there would be like a page in Roam, in your Roam graph, and you would select add-ons or extensions, and you could choose to pay from there for them, or that like a lot of them could be free, and you can just turn them on, and then they would have their own, each extension, I guess, would have their own way of giving the user options to do different things. I don't think we're gonna like be like the Apple App Store or like any of those stores where it's like a total.
You guys can just take 40% like Apple does and make
No.
your own. But I think that makes a lot of sense. It sounds like the play is, if you're making something that's really just sitting on the surface of Roam, probably open source to begin with, probably not like a stable cash flow business model. But if you have a separate thing you're building, then the Roam integration becomes a trivial piece of something that you're offering, closed source, that's your own deal, right? But the fact that you can now talk between Roam and whatever you build is really the way you would convert that into a business model, right?
Yeah, it like we're just like gonna see what happens. We'll see what people build. We'll see like how people like the business model stuff. I think is like, it's like we don't know exactly how we're gonna like run that part of it, but yeah, we hope to have like vetted stuff, and then also like let people still do Roam.js, and like let everyone do like leave them to be like, let people like hack, and if people want to use like some like avant-garde like Roam extensions that might do some like weird shit with your data, then like you can do that too. But yeah, we hope to like have like a flourishing marketplace though eventually, where people will be able to like profit off of what they've built.
Is this why, like, I guess you all have been hesitant on the mobile app? Because it's like, oh, let's just get the API and let the community build the app for us?
No. I think we do want to build a mobile app ourselves eventually, like a native one, but I don't think it's the highest priority, because we're trying to like nail the desktop experience, because that's where like real knowledge work is happening. The mobile experience is less pressing. And again, yeah, there is the stopgap of when we do release this, like all the things that people want Roam for mobile for, we'll be able to do it mostly with the third-party app, or like a third-party extension or something, or like anything basically. Mark Robertson, he's working on a bunch of like iOS shortcuts with the API, so you'll be able to basically do like tons of stuff that you weren't able to before, just on mobile. And there are, I think, a bunch of people who've expressed interest in building a third-party Roam app on like React Native. So I'm not sure exactly what the like progress is on those. For the record, I strongly disagree that real knowledge work doesn't happen. I want to hear your argument.
Okay.
For a walk.
Great. So I'm sort of making dinner now too, so you might hear a little light sizzling, but basically people, if I'm on a walk, like, and I don't have my computer with me, that's often when I'm going to come up with a lot of like my very interesting thoughts. And if I don't capture them quickly, then it doesn't happen. But then on top of that, like just having quick reference and being able to like see things, set up my own workflows. Like I like bringing Roam into the bathroom on my phone. Like I'm not gonna lie, and just being able to browse around and then interact with it while I'm browsing, allows me to do a lot of cleanup as I'm going.
Right. I think I'm just like biased because I can't open the company Roam on my phone at all, so I can't even like do that.
So you're the fact that going through pledging and saying, this is so hard, so I love it.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty true. You like definitely some knowledge work can happen on mobile, but I think it's like the bulk of what Roam is good at is like getting you to like write more usefully for yourself, and I find that like I'm very rarely like writing on mobile. Capturing, yeah, but writing itself.
But like, think about it like this, like, so like the knowledge work is happening on your desktop when you're actually sitting there writing. But then like, I'd much rather be scrolling through my Roam on my phone than Twitter, and like cleaning up my Roam and like making the connections as I'm scrolling, because that'll be way more useful for me. I mean, obviously, like if your Twitter is like well curated, I guess like you'll come up with cool shit. But most of the time, I'm just bringing my cool shit from Twitter into Roam anyways. So like going in, like tagging on your phone, like while I'm watching a football game or something on mobile is a lot, I think that's like, because I get it. I get Connor's like whole tweet storm on like knowledge work. I've seen that thread. So I understand that aspect, but it's like habit stacking and like making it a part of just like, I don't know, your everyday, like it's the frictionless aspect,
Yeah, I think that right now, Roam's pretty optimized for writing and not optimized enough for reading. And I think, I really hope that when this API does get released to the public, that we do see a lot of these like Roam reader apps where they'll allow you to like have a reading first experience or like a cleanup first experience, like with your Roam, where it's not geared towards like you inputting stuff, but like, synthesizing and removing and.
Yeah, just like Readwise, like, and like it has the highlights and you're going through and you're keeping the highlights and checking the highlights. Like same for Roam. It's like, I don't know, like you could have like spaced repetition just on what?
I'm certain that's happening because I'm building a version of that in my free time, just for myself. And I'm sure others are too. Because long form reading is kind of a different style than a lot of the notes. Yeah. I also just wanted to say I'm weird, but I actually probably write more in Roam on mobile than anything else.
Oh, wow.
I use it as a journal, and it's like that's a lot of my. It's just I'll be walking down the street and have a thought, and I have a goldfish memory, so it's like, oh, I want to put this. I want to remember this somehow, and the Roam tag system is just better than any other system that I found. So
nice. That's awesome. I wish that I could do that. I wish. I usually like just write them in Apple Notes and then copy and paste them into Roam.
It's probably smarter.
I just don't get the tagging right away, which is like kind of like I want to see all those references when I'm writing, because then it'll spark other ideas, right? Anything else you want to go over, or questions in general?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just curious because I'm trying to understand the like boundary conditions of this a little bit better. You know, like you were saying earlier when I was talking about a list of ideas, the other two ideas that we didn't get the chance to talk about were like the EDN, like backup manager, version control sort of thing, and like an iPhone keyboard that is able to ref and blocks from wherever I'm typing. So like what sorts of constraints are key?
I would say the two things is you would need like the live, like, so we're thinking of like having two right now, like we're thinking of having two different APIs on top of the REST API, or like not on top of it, but like in addition to. One would be like a webhooks thing where like if you did have like an external application you wanted to like get to sync with Roam, then you would use that. And then if you wanted to have something like the keyboard that you're talking about would be done through like a WebSockets API, which would end up connecting like straight the same way that you write into Roam and like you do your transactions through WebSockets. It would be the same thing. Otherwise, it would be too hard to yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it with the REST API. With like, it would just be pretty slow, like the keyboard thing. Remind me, what was the first one again? The Eden backups?
Yeah, there was
I think once like Roam, like the actual API is fully live, and like export and import are like fully functional, I think like we want to have that as like one of the things that you can do, that you can just back up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are again, those two things are probably not going to be possible with like what we have right now. Actually, they're not possible, really.
Mm-hmm.
The first one with the queries though would be something you could hack together.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you.
One question I had, Bardia, as an extension of what Dharam's built for Roam Portal is, and I think we were wondering how we could potentially search for public Roam DBs with one search operator. Let's say I just search for X. I actually see results from any public DB that I've indexed. I think right now the only way that we'd be able to do that is by requesting more access for the Chrome extension to be able to view the state in other tabs, right? So that we could then do that. But is there a way to use the existing kind of form of the API to maybe index a few different DBs and load it in the background and search it, or not likely? You'd have to be in each tab.
Oh wait, if you want to just like if you have the graph name and you have access to it,
yeah,
you would have to do some. Yeah, you'd like like how like Readwise does it. Like Readwise doesn't like it doesn't keep the tab open. It just like they have like some simulator that does it, right? So as long as you're able to simulate that page and like get access to it, then yeah, you would be able to do that. As long as you're like, if you cache them, yeah, you have to just have the name of the graph, and you could just use window one. You wouldn't be using this one, like the backend one.
So technically, someone could build the best search engine for Roam by simulating whatever is public, at least, right?
Yeah, as long as it's public, like that's as long as like you have like the graph name and whatever, like you can search like all of it. Like as long as you like simulate it in your thing, like yeah, you just need the link.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys want to build like a search that goes through all of it?
I mean, I just want it for myself. Like I want to be able to see the results from my own graph, from the other graphs that I work in, and then I'd love to see what Rob's up to on the topic that I'm working on or whatever. Right? Whoever's thinking in public, there's no reason why I don't have frictionless access to their connected thoughts to like my thought already, right? We don't have to wait until the gates of Rome officially open and all of us plug our DBs into each other.
I actually thought of trying to do something like that for this hackathon. I keep mentioning this. There's a decentralized graph called GunDB that you could essentially like have everyone upload all their data to a a gun graph, which would act as kind of like a cache, and then you'd have a repo of knowledge that you could search. I thought about doing something similar to that. It just sounded like too much work for a hackathon. I think that could be. I mean, a lot of that's like will be attainable through third party once the API is more accessible, I think.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what happens when we all connect.
Yeah, it'll be nutty.
Yeah. We're working on some stuff like so that you can have like private stuff so that like when we do referencing and stuff that like you'll be able to just like make your whole graph, like everything that you want public can be public and then everything else can just remain private and you don't have to like separate your public and private stuff. Yeah, so yeah, it'll be cool.
Bardia, do you think there'll be the option to make a block public or private, or would it just be by pages?
No, it'll be like you could probably do it by block as long as you like add a specific tag to the block, right? Like it would be done by like refs.
That's another thing that like there could be a third party, like a third party Roam publisher that literally was just like a Chrome plugin or something. You could select some blocks, click a button, and it would publish them to an external page.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the Roam portal thing, like it just like it does like a pretty hacky thing, but I love it. It is like if you want to tweet any of your blocks, you can just like press the tweet button and it opens up Twitter like and inserts the text into like the create tweet thing. Whereas like it's way faster doing that than like trying to do it through like Twitter's actual API where it'll like send you to like this really shitty page and like you have to log in, connect, and it's like, do you trust Roam research? Like it like he just like the way that he does it is so seamless. It's like, oh, like this is exactly how I want to actually write into. But yeah, it would be even nicer if you could just press enter and then like you press like enter shift like W and then it tweets it. Yeah. Yeah, all that stuff like will be quite trivial once the API is out.
That's really cool because I just subscribed to an app called Chirr, like CHIRR, which is supposedly good for writing threads in preparation for Threadapalooza on the 15th. But like I would much prefer being able to do that out of Roam than out of like Chirr, probably.
What is Chirr? Let me look it up.
Yeah, threading will be tricky, Rob, but at least a single tweet you can do.
Why wouldn't threading just could it just be something based on indentation or not? Or is that more of like a Twitter side problem?
Yeah, I think you'd need the Twitter API for something like that. I think Chirr's probably figured that out. I think what Roam Portal uses is a hacky little trick. I even made a little 42 smart block that does the same thing. It just creates a URL with the tweet in it.
Actually, it could work if you simulate UI actions on Twitter, then you.
Oh, right.
That's really like fragile though.
Yeah,
I'm through these conversations, like you're having flashbacks to like the old days of JavaScript where everything's DOM crawling and
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Things break a lot.
Do anything right now with like subscribing to actions and like everything is like really hacky like that. Like to create blocks without the Roam, like the actual Datomic API is pretty bad. Like it's really, really janky. So that's
honestly just the ability to fetch and write blocks externally. I mean that alone, I'm having to try to focus on what exactly I would want to do for the context of this hackathon, because there's a lot you can do with that from a third part, like from an external standpoint.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Anyone working on any VR stuff with Roam or in general in this hackathon? No, I really want to see someone like pulling a graph into VR and like I would download it for sure.
Like VR navigate I haven't even heard of this as a concept. It sounds like Minority Report stuff.
I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. Like if we just took like Darm's Roam portal thing in 3D and then you just put it in a VR renderer and then just
yeah. Oh my lord, that'd be
already
the one
for VR.
Sorry, Azin?
His stuff is basically already ready for VR.
Yeah, I know.
Hasn't done it because he probably doesn't have a VR headset. Yeah,
easily. Yeah, I'm very excited for that. very soon we'll be able to like actually live in Rome. All right. Is there anything else you guys wanted to go over, or like general like requests maybe for things that you want to see out of the API based on what you've seen right now?
I appreciate the rundown, and I appreciate Rome's willingness to give us access for this hackathon. All the ideas I wanted to do kind of involved Rome, and so I wouldn't be able to do anything without API access. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Of course. Yeah, I'm sorry I honestly have been like really slammed this week with work, so I didn't get time to put together like a really nice like demo for you guys.
This is fine. This is good.
I kind of went through all the stuff again because I had to like refresh because like I hadn't touched this in probably like a month.
You live coded and everything worked, and so that's a success.
Yeah, well, it ended up working. Yeah, hopefully you guys will build some cool shit with this API. I'm excited to see. Are you going? Sorry, go
ahead. With the Chrome plugins that are currently out there, like Rome Portal, what are they using? Are they using this API, or are they using the like?
No, they're using the window.
Okay, they're using the window.
Yeah, you can do a lot of the same stuff, right? Like all the reads, like it's pretty much the exact same on the read side. It's just like a little bit different format of like how you put stuff in. But like the only thing you can't do with Rome Portal is like write stuff. Like you just can't write anything with it. Like it's just all search. Yeah.
Has anyone made guides on using the window interface for queries?
Yeah, actually, there is someone wrote a really good guide, and that's what I used to learn it the first time. Here, one sec. I think it was from Put Your Left Foot In. This guy made a bunch of like Alfred workflows with Rome as well. Let me just put it in the chat. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, this guy has a really good in-depth one. It's really good stuff. And then also, someone's made a great Rome to Anki. Ooh. This is an older one, but this also works. Rome to Anki sync. Oh, here. Okay, there we go. This is a bi-directional one, I think, using the Alpha API. The one, yeah. You guys can use this, or you guys can check out this code because it's using the API you guys have access to now. Anyone else here use Anki or any of those space repetition softwares? No?
Occasionally.
Do you find them useful or not really?
Maybe on the side of not really, just because I am not great at like getting into the habit of using them.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah, that's kind of how
I like exploring other methods beyond just spaced repetition for learning things.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for bearing with me with this whole thing. Thank you, Aslan, for hosting. And are you still living with all those guys in New Mexico?
Yeah.
How is it there?
It's pretty nice. Beautiful sunrises and sunsets.
Oh, damn. That's awesome. Say hi to me.
Thanks for coming and presenting to us. It's been really great.
No problem.